this broadcast, we highlight the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the news headlines. National Council Quartet claim $1 million Namibian for trip to the West. Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources share the late president's life events as a Namibian freedom fighter. And village chiefs decry lack of income. I am Diana Master and this is NMH at 1 midday news update coming right up.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act in this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Getting into today's visual news clips, Derek Clausen, Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, shared the late president's life events as a Namibian freedom fighter during a memorial service held yesterday to honor the late president. Let's have a look.
I respect to a true liberation struggle icon, an exceptional administrator, and an embodiment of unity and progress. But amidst the grief, a solemn realization emerged that we as Namibians were privileged witness to a leader who defied the ordinary, who brought about extraordinary change through his unwavering dedication to the ideals of justice, unity, and progress. The loss we feel today is a testament to the profound impact he had on our lives and the void he leaves behind. His unwavering commitment to freedom and justice compelled Dr. Keinkop and other heroes and heroines of our liberation to leave Namibia and wage a long, bitter, and life-threatening struggle against the apartheid minority regime of white South Africa for Namibia's liberation. It is due to their intervention and the blood of our fallen heroes who laid such a costly sacrifice on the altar of freedom that Namibia was set on a new path in search of prosperity and growth. As a service to his country, in addition to being a liberation struggle hero, President Keinkop led the drafting and adoption of a constitution for Namibia that is widely referred and celebrated as a model of democratic governance. His steadfast belief in the power of the community sought to safeguard the rights and liberties of divisions and foster a testament national unwavering understanding that our strength lies in our diversity. Remarkable achievement also in coining both phrases on a national, President and international scale have earned the admiration and against of global hatred and divisions created by our President Keinkop's rule, ceaseless dedication to the betterment of Namibia, and his tireless efforts to establishing the administrative superstructures shortly after Namibia's independence make us proud as Namibians and remind us that we remain a country that respects the rule of law, institutions, processes, and systems.
Stick around, we'll take a look at the local daily newspapers on the other side of this.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights. somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Let's take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. The National Council is in the process of allocating just over $1 million Namibian for a 20-day mission abroad involving 4 officials, one of whom wants to purchase warm clothes. National Council Vice Chairperson Victoria Kauma, Director in that House of Parliament Petras Kavihura, Personal Assistant Augusta Shali and Bernard Umwira, a private secretary, will jet off to the United States of America and Switzerland next month. On Namibian Sun's page 3, village chiefs entrusted with allocating and safeguarding communal land and assisting the community say they are sometimes forced to pay from their own pockets to carry out their work since they are not compensated for their efforts. This is one of the findings contained in a National Council report following an outreach initiative led by Council's Vice Chairperson Victoria Kauma. Moving right along, Republican reports that 2 families were inconsolable at the regional court in Windhoek yesterday after Tristan Losper, 24, was sentenced to 19 years in prison for the murder of his childhood friend, the paramedic and Wanderers fly half O'Neill de Beer, who was 22 in 2022. They can go and see him and talk to him. I have to go to an empty tomb. I have to walk with that scar for the rest of my life, said Anthea de Beer, O'Neill's mother. Magistrate Justine Asino said that Losper, a first-time offender, had good chances of rehabilitation as he showed remorse several times during the trial. The scenario where a company changes its name or structure to avoid meeting legal obligations is common, says the Executive Director of Labour, Industrial Relations and Job Creation, Lydia Indombo. According to her, this practice can abuse loopholes in the law, although this depends on specific circumstances and the applicable legal framework, she says. An argument between childhood friends ended in a stabbing in which one of the boys was killed. After the verdict, however, all that remains is trauma and sadness. 2 families still have to live with the consequences. That is what Allgemeine Zeitung is in today's publication is opening with on its front page. They were left inconsolable in the Windhoek Regional Court yesterday after Tristan Losper was sentenced to 19 years in prison for the murder of his childhood friend O'Neill de Beer. On page 3, Allgemeine Zeitung is attending to the energy crisis in South Africa that is hurting Namibian farmers and livestock breeders. Paul Klein from Agro Auctions confirmed to Republican that the load shedding in the neighboring country is having an impact on Namibian export meat producers, with various factors contributing to this. The problem is that the market is overcrowded and meat prices are fixed in advance. We get into the second half of our newspaper review segment after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
On the Namibian newspaper's front page, Ongwena Regional Council Chairperson Erickson Dawanifwa says he is waiting for a report from councillors on the ground following strong winds and hail on Saturday evening and early Sunday morning that left hundreds of Ndola villagers homeless. Many residents have been forced to squat in neighbors' homes. On the paper's page 3, political analysts say Namibians should not expect too many changes from President Ngolo Mbumba's administration given the period of time he has as president. Now, according to the New Era independent economist Robin Sherborne said one of the possible reforms for Nam Water is to maintain state ownership but to encourage private water desalination to boost bulk water supply. Nam Water's problem is that it may be inefficient as it does not face competition and is also prevented by government from charging prices that allow it to properly maintain its existing infrastructure and build a strong balance sheet, which would allow it to raise new capital for new infrastructure without help from the government, the economist said in the Namibia 2023 fourth quarter economic review. Now, a truck driver from the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia has resigned amid an investigation into the disappearance of over 1 million Namibian dollars worth of fuel from the company's storage facility in Walvis Bay. I confirm that the matter has been reported to the Walvis Bay police. The driver of the truck resigned last week in the wake of our investigations, stated Utara Hoveka, spokesperson for NAMCOR, in an interview with New Era on Wednesday. The authorities state that the fuel was stolen from the corporation's national oil storage facility in Walvis Bay. Moving over to Market Watch, Dundee Precious Metals has decided to undertake a strategic review of its Tsumeb operation in Namibia, including a potential sale of the asset. The smelter is no longer expected to process any Kelopec concentrate from the copper mine in Bulgaria, commencing in 2024, and as a result, it is no longer seen as strategic to DPM's asset portfolio, the company said in its 2023 annual financial results. DPM acquired the Tsumeb smelter in 2010 and owns 92% of the asset. Now, after the break, Urban and Rural Development Minister Erastus Uthoni tabled the much-anticipated Regional and Constituency Development Fund Bill on Tuesday. Details of this story coming up in the Economic News segment after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In today's economic news, Urban and Rural Development Minister Erastus Uthoni tabled the much-anticipated Regional and Constituency Development Fund Bill on Tuesday, which has been in the works for a decade. First tabled in February 2014, the fund is aimed at fast-tracking development activities at regional and constituency levels and addressing the issue of the marginalization of some constituencies in terms of project funding. Over the past 10 years, constituency councillors have criticized the Line Ministry for the snail pace of dealing with the bill. Constituency councillors have been calling on government to fast-track the process of enacting the bill, which will allow them to use the resources from the fund to assist and develop their constituencies. Added boost, Uthoni said the fund will serve as an additional financial support mechanism from the state, which will boost development at the regional and constituency levels. The envisaged Regional and Constituency Development Fund is a pro-decentralization initiative that provides additional funding from central government to the regional and constituency levels to boost community-based small-scale development projects that are intended to address particular development needs, he said. The purpose of the fund is to financially assist with the development of constituencies, regions, and local authority areas, as well as the implementation of decentralization programs at the regional and local authority levels in Namibia. Now let's take a look at the financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 23.75 to the British pound, 20.34 to the euro, 18.89 to the US dollar, and 2 Namibian dollars and 63 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. All of these selected NSX stock closing prices maintained. Local index maintained while overall index closed on an upturn of 0.23%. Looking at commodities, gold and copper took upturns of 0.13 and 0.91% respectively, while platinum and Brent crude oil took dips of 1.13 and 1% respectively. We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you the latest news from the African continent here on NMH at 1. South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor has blasted Israel's spokesperson for accusing her government of representing the interests of the Hamas terrorist organization. In response, Pandor told the BBC insults are the last resort of a scoundrel. Pandor, who was in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa to attend the African Union summit, said the international community had a responsibility to bring the Israel-Gaza conflict to an end. It's unconscionable that the world has allowed this to carry on for so long, she said. She added that the world needs to prepare for a two-state solution. Relations between Israel and South Africa have been tense since South Africa filed a case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, a charge it has rejected. The ICJ ruled that Israel should do everything in its power to avoid killing Palestinians, and they should address the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Following the order, South Africa made an urgent request to the ICJ to consider whether Israel risks breaching the court orders. Pandor said South Africa will continue to argue this onslaught on Palestinian people that is designed to commit genocide. Israel took action after Hamas-led gunmen killed at least 1,200 people and seized 253 hostages in a surprise attack on its territory on the 7th of October. It has pledged to eliminate Hamas and get the hostages returned. More than 27,800 Palestinians have been killed and at least 67,000 injured by the war launched by Israel in response, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. In our next story, Ethiopia's government on Thursday dismissed allegations its soldiers massacred scores of civilians last month in the country's rest of Amhara region, as the West is demanding an investigation into the killings. A rebellion broke out in Amhara, Ethiopia's second biggest province, last year when the government moved to dissolve regional forces and absorb them into federal army. Later, rebels captured several towns across the region before retreating to the countryside. Rights monitors have documented a range of human rights abuses by government forces during the conflict, including alleged extrajudicial killings. Ethiopia's state-appointed Human Rights Commission says troops killed at least 45 civilians in the Amhara town of Merawi following clashes with the local militia in January. Another national rights body put the death toll at over 80. Both organizations, though, said the killings included shootings that occurred during house-to-house searches. Government spokesperson Legesse Tulu on Thursday told the local language service of German broadcaster Deutsche Welle that there was fighting in Merawi, but insisted the military did not target any civilians. Legesse said soldiers entered civilian homes to conduct searches after the fighting and acted in self-defense when they were fired upon again by armed elements. Stick around after the break, we bring you international news.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act. In this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The Act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
In international news this afternoon, President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday that Russian scientists were close to creating vaccines for cancer that could soon be available to patients. Putin said in televised comments that they have come very close to the creation of so-called cancer vaccines and immunomodulatory drugs of a new generation. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy, said Putin, speaking at a Moscow forum of future technologies. Putin did not specify which types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target nor how. A number of countries and companies are working on cancer vaccines. Just last year, the UK government signed an agreement with Germany-based BioNTech to launch clinical trials providing personalized cancer treatments, aiming to reach 10,000 patients by 2030. There are currently 6 licensed vaccines against human papillomaviruses that cause many cancers, including cervical cancer, according to the World Health Organization, as well as vaccines against hepatitis B, which can lead to liver cancer. News from the world of sport follows right after this. In local sports news, Namibia is gearing up to host the ultimate test of human endurance as adventure racing teams from all over the world make their way to the country. They're scheduled to kick off in Walvis Bay in May 2024. Adventure racing, known as the pinnacle of endurance races, will see teams of 4 athletes embark on a grueling journey spanning approximately 500 kilometers. The race will encompass a variety of terrains and challenges, including mountain biking, trail running, and kayaking. The annual Trustco Castle Light Tennis-side Rugby Tournament starts today in Olympia and reaches its climax tomorrow. The two-day tournament offers the participating clubs a traditional pre-season opener for the local club rugby season, which starts soon. The matches will be broadcast live on Network TV, DSTV Channel 285 and GoTV Channel 25 on the Facebook pages of Sport Rep, Republicane, Irongo and NTV, as well as NTV's website, 102.com. The Fistball opening tournament will take place in Swakopmund this coming Saturday. The first games kick off at 8:30 in the morning at SFC. The event for Fistball year 2024 opens with 13 adult teams from 3 clubs. In November, the Under-18 World Cup for men and women will take place in Chile, while the Women's World Championship will take place in Argentina shortly thereafter. Stick around, we'll be right back with international sports news. Cape Town Spurs will be hoping to regain their form as they face a tough test against AmaZulu at the Athlone Stadium in the DSTV Premiership on Saturday evening. Before the break, due to the Africa Cup of Nations, Cape Town Spurs had suffered their 3rd defeat in a row in the league, the most recent one being a 2-0 loss to their neighbourhood rivals, Cape Town City. Chelsea appear lambs to the slaughter ahead of a trip to Manchester City on Saturday, as the English champions have hit top form as the business end of the season approaches. However, Pep Guardiola's men could have ground to make up in the Premier League title race by the time they kick off at Etihad, with Liverpool and Arsenal in action before them on Saturday. In some golfing news, Tiger Woods got off to an erratic start in his first US PGA Tour event in more than 10 months, firing a 1-over par 72 that left him 8 shots behind first-round leader Patrick Cantlay at the Genesis Invitational. Woods, playing his first tour-sanctioned tournament since ankle surgery in April, 2 weeks after he withdrew from the 3rd round of the Masters with foot pain, had 5 birdies and 6 bogeys at the Riviera Country Club, where his miscues included a surprising shank off a second shot from the fairway at 18. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast on the other side of this.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
He has another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahn.
Zij sê wie is er aan neertrekken. Hy bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat. En is
but just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then we
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this.
You're watching NMH at 1, and if you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor has blasted Israel's spokesperson for accusing her government of representing the interests of the Hamas terrorist organization. In international news, President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday that Russian scientists were close to creating vaccines for cancer that could soon be available to patients. And in local sports, Namibia is gearing up to host the ultimate test of human endurance as adventure racing teams from all over the world make their way to the country. NMH at 1 streams live every weekday at 1 p.m. sharing the latest news in Namibia and beyond. From me, Diana Master, I do wish you have yourselves a lovely weekend ahead.